Thank you, Dan, and I'm very grateful for this opportunity. Before I read a selection from my poems, though, I want to read one by someone you might be familiar with, everyone here might be familiar with. It's a short, beautiful piece and one that I certainly relate to. It's called Moment in a Mirror by somebody named Dan Brady. What is in the mirror that looks me in the eye? Something left unsaid, something I've put by? What is in my reflecting that has me ease a sigh? So I peer with purpose and querulously pry. The visage has aged, true, for retirement is nigh, but still I'm able-bodied and don't soon expect to die. What is in this moment when in my reflection I espy a sullen disaffection and a wish that the truth would lie? It's a beautiful piece, Dan. I wanted to share that with everybody. And now I'd like to share a real short quote from Orson Welles that could serve as a theme for my stuff that I'm about to read. Orson Welles said, "Poets must seek out and cultivate their contradictions." I love that. Okay, I will dive in. Here goes. Dominant species, or top of the food chain, Ma. You're not a god, but you play one on the TV that's always on in your mind. And you have a mind filled with the adrenaline-fueled bloodlust of a big game hunter, wielding almighty, uptight Old Testament judgment, killing fat and lazy, low-flying houseflies with a tightly rolled up listings of unaffordable Bay Area real estate. And you wipe out countless invading anarchist ants, alternating sociopathic equanimity with the righteous rage of a genocidal crusader, armed with vinegar-soaked rags, never wondering whether you're engaging in torture a little too enthusiastically. You're not a god, but it's a great, guilty, vainglorious pleasure to play one on the TV that's always on in your mind. The same TV that also shows you going to remarkably merciful lengths to save spiders, even the really big, ugly, hairy, elusive, speedy spiders, patiently placing them in the backyard or on the front porch, channeling the loving kindness taught to you years ago by otherworldly Buddhist nuns living in placid Pengrove. No, you're not a god, but you play one on the TV that's always on in your cabled, cobbled, contradictory mind, with its hundreds, or is it thousands, of channels, most of which rarely show anything worth watching, but still you find mindless comfort channel surfing your infinite godlike time away, all the while mindfully agitated. This thermostatic, temperamental tango. Too cold, too hot. Too cold, too hot. Too cold, too hot, too cold, too hot, too cold. One sets it at 62 inside when it's 82 outside, but when it's 62 outside, sets it at 82 inside. The other resets it and resets it and resets it at 72 inside, no matter what's what outside. It's an indelicate imbalance. It's all of a piece, a chance these two take to dance this temperamental, thermostatic, tangled tango, this funny, sad, silly, serious minuet, this backbending limbo, this too hot, too cold, too cold, too hot, two-step, in search of the just right climate for these two to reside, the just right temperature for each to abide. Golden retrievals. Now in my 75th year, still got a good outfielder's arm. So I throw a yellowed, slightly scuffed memory as if it were a slightly scuffed yellow tennis ball, far into the middle distance, or occasionally far beyond. And my newly adopted spirit animal, this scruffy, gimpy, grumpy old golden retriever, lopes and limps and gambols after it. And to my astonishment, brings back the tennis ball, eventually, usually. Although sometimes what's brought back is a different tennis ball, pink or purple or factory fresh or so chewed up, it looks like something else entirely, something needing to be put out of its misery, maybe, or something determined to defy Darwin and survive unfit. Sometimes what's brought back is a different memory, or a memory reimagined, or a memory excavated from under backyard compost or backcountry mass graves. And sometimes nothing's retrieved, nothing at all. Sometimes my spirit animal returns with empty jaws and mud-caked paws, wide, wild eyes filled to overflow with incandescent innocence. When meditation was all the rage, early last night, I felt enlightened, meditating with those beatific, brown-robed, bald Buddhist nuns. Later last night, I felt frightened by high beams flashing, horn-honking, tailgating pickup truck. Early last night, while meditating, I followed my breath, inhaling, exhaling, releasing restless, random, distracting thoughts. Later last night, I became breathless, spewing expletives at the tailgating driver on a 2-lane blacktop. Early last night at meditation, I felt muted in a halo of humility. No past, no future, no longer suffering transient attachments. Later last night, my spiritual afterglow reduced to gritty gray ashes. I turned apoplectic. Pass me, you asshole. Fuck you if I'm pulling over. Early last night at meditation, I felt truly at peace. Later last night, I was locked in a war, middle finger raised in the shadowy interior glow of my slowed to a crawl car. Microscopic, telescopic, split-fingered fastball. To paraphrase that great Italian-American philosopher Yogi Berra, your past ain't what it used to be. It's become an exponentially expanding, simultaneously collapsing cosmos with white dwarfs, black holes, dimming suns, marooned moons, and the microscope with which you used to examine your past has become the wrong tool, the exact opposite tool needed for the task at hand. Now you need a telescope, one of those big suckers like the one at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory. But you can't afford one of those, and you wouldn't know how to use it anyway. Your future ain't what it used to be either. Now it's become like ever-shrinking Arctic Circle summer daylight, shriveling toward dismal dusk, shivering toward definitive darkness, and the telescope with which you used to glimpse your future has become the wrong tool, the exact opposite tool for the task at hand. Now you need a microscope, one of those subatomic suckers that sees the otherwise unseen. But you can't afford one of those and wouldn't know how to use it anyway. And so you try to mindfully invest in your here and now, which these days looks like a perfectly pitched big league split-fingered fastball, feverishly, freakishly dipping, darting, tumbling so rapidly through barely resistant air. This precious present of yours, now you see it, now you don't. Wanderers, all of us. I wandered into childhood alone. among so many other children exactly like me, among none like me, wide-eyed, silent, obedient, but not without sneaky streaks of narrow-eyed subversion. I wandered into adolescence alone, among so many other adolescents, none like me, yet none unlike me. All of us so sure of what was what, none of us with even a clue, our script inscrutable and no improvisation allowed. I wandered into young adulthood alone, among so many other young adults scared of nothing, nothing so much as scared to death of turning into our dying parents who had done nothing wrong except be themselves. I wandered into middle age alone, among so many others wending through the workaday world, so sure, so cocksure, confident, convinced I was an exception, quadruple vaccinated. I would never fall victim to that cliche virus called midlife crisis. Oh, how terribly, terrifically, proudly, ashamedly, self-satisfyingly wrong I was. I wandered into retirement's golden oldie moldy years, now become supersonic, speedy, cloudy days alone, among so many other boomers burdened by pending vacancies, virility, vitality having given notice. These clouds rolling, roiling, presaging end time storms, storms that will rage and raise and ravage, storms that will cleanse, storms that will erase. Father's Day is coming this Sunday. I know it's just another Hallmark holiday, believe me, but some of us still holds, for some of us, it still holds some symbolic significance. So forgive my sentimentality. This is in memory of my father. King for a day. The checkers pieces get reset yet again. It's only a friendly game after all, right? Right. As if we ever played any game not wanting to annihilate the other. He calmly assumes air of dignity while hunched in a wheelchair, his chin looking like it's attached to the plaid shirt's buttoned top button, his oversized diaper bulging over coffee-stained red sweatpants, his wrinkle-rutted face splotched with dried blood, the result of the nursing home aide's shave. His breath a labor of longing, watery eyes searching for land. His World War II combat brothers all gone. His Josie, wife of 62 years, dead 3 months. The family expects him to follow any day now. The family will be wrong by 5 years. He makes yet another unruly triple jump, using whatever damn pieces moving in whatever damn direction he damn well pleases, this time adding a flourishing, finishing flick of his wrist and a guttural gurgle of a command. King me. Well, I know a con job when I see it, or at least I think I do. Hell, I really have no idea. I sit and stare, shrug and sigh. No more resetting of pieces. Time and toil crown my father. His tender tenor rasps and gasps. Give up, wise guy. Before I read my final piece, I'd like to offer one more quote that I find especially relevant. It's from an essay titled The Hard Crowd by Rachel Kushner. You reach a point where so much is behind you, but it continues to exist somewhere as memory and absence at once, as images you'll never see again. None of it matters. It's gone, but it all matters. It lingers. And now for my final piece. Vanity Unfair. Chapter 1, Childhood. Too small, too weak, too shy, too, well, childish. Believing in Santa and Jesus and the Pledge of Allegiance and professional wrestling on TV far too much for far too long. Chapter 2, Adolescence. Teeth full of braces, face full of zits, plump, pointy, pus-filled pizza face zits. Too skinny, too tall, too lazy, too cowardly to fend off bullies, to express sexuality, too conflicted too, attracted to the philosophies of Rome's Pope and Playboy's publisher. Chapter 3, Adulthood. Able to pass for normal at last. The future is now, what's past is past. Teeth straight, complexion clear, muscles toned, weight in sync with height, shyness out, hedonism in, sexuality expressed. Alas and alack, careless and faithless. Chapter 4, the golden years and beyond. Bald scalp, blurred vision, turkey neck, pruned face, achy hips, slower streams of piss, arteries hardening, erections softening, heartburn, heartache, irritable bowel, irritable soul. Epilogue. O vanity so foul, O vanity unfair, still whining after all these years. Thank you for allowing me to share my work. To be part of this community of writers, of poets no less, has been one of the great joys of my life.